Most of what we know about Mark comes directly from the New Testament.
He is usually identified with the mark of Acts 12:12. When Peter escaped from prison, he went to the home of Mark's mother.
Paul and Barnabas took him along on the first missionary journey.
But for some reason, Mark returned alone to Jerusalem.
It is evident from Paul's refusal to let Mark accompany him on the second journey, despite Barnabas' insistence, that Mark was displeased.
Because Paul later asked Mark to visit him in prison, we can assume that whatever the trouble was, it didn't last long.
Now let's talk about Mark's gospel.
It's the oldest and shortest of the four Gospels. It emphasizes Jesus' rejection by humanity while being God's triumphant envoy.
It was probably written for Gentile converts in Rome after the death of Peter and Paul
sometime between AD 60 and 70.
Evidently, a friend of Mark, Peter called him my son, Peter was one of the only gospel sources, others being the Church of Jerusalem,
Jewish roots,
and the Church at Antioch,
largely Gentile.
Like one other gospel writer, Luke, Mark was not one of the 12 apostles.
Some scholars feel that the Evangelist is speaking of himself when describing the arrest of Jesus in Gethsemane.
Now a young man followed him, wearing nothing but a linen cloth about his body. They seized him,
but he left the cloth behind and ran off naked. Mark 14:51-52.
Others think of Mark as the first bishop of Alexandria, Egypt.
Venice, famous for the Piazza San Marco, claims Mark as its patron saint.
Mark's symbol is a winged lion. It comes from Mark's description of John the Baptist as a voice of one crying out in the desert.
Mark 1:3.
Which artist compared to a roaring lion? The wings come from the application of Ezekiel's vision of four winged creatures,
Ezekiel chapter 1.
To the Evangelists.
Mark fulfilled in his life what every Christian is called to do, proclaim to all people the good news that is the source of salvation.
In particular, Mark's way was by writing.
Others may proclaim the good news by music, drama, poetry, or by teaching children around the family table.